Everyone, so going to be putting on the Ram Rebel wheels today on the truck and see how they mount up. Something I do whenever I buy used wheels. So these tires go for like 280 bucks new, and I got all four of these were 400 bucks, so pretty good deal on it. And there's some tread life left. You know, it's not perfect, but that's definitely good for, I guess, like 10,000 miles. But I marked what the pressure was at when I got them, so I'm going to put on the front. And it was at 50 psi. So I did that for all four of the tires. Just going to do a quick check, make sure they hold air before I put these on, and I'm not able to drive to work tomorrow. So that's perfectly at 50, so that held well. This one, another front tire, have it at 50, exactly at 50 again. And just one thing to note, the front tires have a little bit less tread than the rear. That's on purpose. So whenever you're rotating, you always want to have more on the rear. That's the best way you can get wet weather traction. It's at 45, so I measured it yesterday. And then hopefully this one's at 45. Yep, we are basically perfect for all four. So these should be ready to go. One thing I do want to note is these are a different size than the Bighorn comes with. So they're 275 by 70s. The Bighorn comes with 275 by 60, so this puts them, I think, just over an inch taller. And the tires are going to be a little bit over 10 pounds heavier. So I'm going to see a little bit of a reduction in fuel mileage as a result. Going 1 inch higher, my truck has 355 rear gears. So this is about a 3% taller tire. So it essentially, instead of having 355 rear gears, you're almost like mechanically changing the gear ratio by putting a taller tire on there. So these should put me somewhere in the low 340s if I did my math correct. So still better than the 321s that a lot of the non-towing model, you know, just the basic trucks come with. So I still should have better towing capacity than a baseline V6, but I probably am not 100% at what it was before. One, because I'm running a taller tire, so I'm effectively reducing the gear ratio in the rear, and then two, they're heavier. So like I said, these are used. Seems like we got about 10K miles left on them, maybe a little more. I guess we'll see depending on how the tread life goes. And, you know, honestly, when I put new tires on, I might just go back to the original size, the 275/65, see how much it affects fuel mileage. And that's one thing I'll have to keep in mind. The dash won't be perfectly accurate. I think it's 70 miles an hour. If I'm doing the math right again, it should be about a little over 2 miles per hour off. So if it's my speedo says 70, I'm going 72. Same thing for fuel mileage. If the fuel mileage says 20, I'm actually doing a little bit better than that. I think it's less than a mile per gallon difference. I think it's like 5/10, maybe 7/10 or something. So just something to keep in mind, that it won't be as bad as it looks on the gauge. And if the truck changes, or, you know, it's something that it's not driving as good, like I can just put my old tires back on, or, you know, I could just wait it out until these ones are done, and then maybe at that point I'll just go back to the original size. So I don't really need all terrains. You know, I do a lot of towing with my truck, and then the other thing is, you know, it's a pavement princess, and I'm not taking it off-road. You know, if I were to do that, you know, I didn't buy the right truck for it. So just something to keep in mind. I think hopefully it'll look a little bit cooler. And like I said, it's the original Bighorn truck, so you know, a lot of chrome on this, which I hate. I'm hoping that the wheels will give it a bit of a better look. I might upgrade to side steps afterwards, see how the wife can get into the truck and all that. But you know, I think it'll look better over time. I might look into doing something with all the chrome, but, you know, for now, just see how it looks. So if you're wondering if Rebel tires have fit, gonna jump into a time lapse. I'll put all four on, and, you know, we'll see how it looks right after. All right, so here's the moment of truth. The seller said that they're good tires, well balanced, took them off the truck, just switched up to a different set, and the tire pressure sensors are in there. So let's see. I should just be able to drive around for a minute and it should show up. I measured right before, so it should be 50 in the front and then 45 in the back. So let's see how we do. All right, so this should be from the old setting. They haven't rotated a full time yet. I'll see if I can keep my hand steady here. Nope, I'm turned all the way. I don't hear any rubbing. That was one thing that I was expecting. But it still could come up. Alright, so I got the seatbelt on now. I can see the screen. It should start to reset in a minute. Like I said, these are the old tire readings still from what just came off, and I know that what's on there is a different setting. Say it feels pretty similar. There's a little bit more road noise, but the wheel is holding steady, which is good. It's not shaking, just bumps in the road. And one thing that I will post later in the review, I'm at 20.7 miles per gallon usually throughout work, and with my commute I'm like between 21 and 22 for a normal week. So we'll see how that changes, if any. Still not showing up here, which is weird. I guess there's no error light, which is also kind of funny. So if there wasn't anything in there, I think that it would tell me if there wasn't a sensor on there. I don't know, maybe I'll toggle out of the screen and come back and see if it resets. No, I'm still there. Alright, well, I'll update in a second. I want to drive safe here. It's a little update driving around here. It took like over 5 minutes, and I was like, is there something wrong? Do I need to do something? But it finally snapped in. So the fronts are reading at 53 and the rears are reading at 47, 48. So the spec on these tires, it's supposed to be 55 front, 45 rear. Reading online, a lot of people liked 50 in the front and 45 in the back. So obviously my little pencil gauge isn't going to be perfectly accurate. Honestly, probably the computer's not perfectly accurate either. But it's like 81 degrees outside, so I'd imagine after driving around for a minute that it'd go up a little bit higher than what it was at the cold temperature, and the reading that we took was at the cold temperature. So something to check, you know, moving forward. But I had Waze open on my phone, and I had 50 exactly on the speedometer, and it said 51 on the GPS. So, you know, I don't think it's worth it to go to the dealer for $150 over 1 mile an hour. Just something to keep in mind. And like I said, you know, I might just flip it back to the original tire size when I replace these ones. But $400, I should get at least that out of the factory wheels the truck came with, so kind of a free upgrade. I'm gonna go back, retorque the lug nuts now, and we'll go from there. But thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if this video helped. I know I definitely had some questions, but been good so far. It's looking good so far. Just got all of them retorqued. I'll probably do it after work tomorrow again too. So pulling into my driveway, had it turned all the way, didn't see any rubbing. You know, we obviously got quite a bit of room there, clearance-wise, all around on it. I think it just fills up the wheel well better. All terrains are louder. They're also heavier, but the truck handled it fine. Honestly, didn't really feel too much different other than the road noise. And one thing I will note is these do have a ton of weights on the wheels to balance them. And before I got this truck, I had a Wrangler JK where I had some mud terrains on that, and actually the last Ram that I had, the 09, I had it around the same time when I sold that JK to get this. I sold both of them to get this actually, and I had it was the same kind of deal as this one. Put the Rebel wheels on it and had the, I think, Falcon mud tires on it, and those also had an absurd amount of weights on it. I remember at the tire shop they were telling me like how ridiculous it was, but you know, it's just part of having the more aggressive tread, you know. So just something to think about, you know, if you're looking for a truck that's real quiet and you can't tell it's got, you know, aggressive tires on it, then you probably don't want to get Duratracs, you know, stick with the factory ones. But, you know, I like the look of this. So worth it to me. I've always had kind of all-terrains or mud tires on the vehicles I've owned, but you know, just something to consider. I want to update the end of the week after a full week of commuting what it does to the gas mileage. I'll show a review on that. You know, I think before I bought these things, I was wondering was, would the tire pressure sensors, would they sync with the Bighorn? Would I need to do any fender trimming or, you know, leveling? The guy I bought it off of was insisting I'd have to level the truck, and I knew I wouldn't have to do that. But you know, it could look good if you did, but like I said, it's just a lot of this stuff is personal preference. I tow with my stuff, so I like to keep it as stock as possible, which is why I might actually go back down to the original size. But I love how the contour of the wheel, it kind of matches the truck a little bit, like the chrome bumper with gray paint, and then the little bit of polished wheel with the black paint. It's kind of a cool offset look. I think, you know, it looks a lot better than the old man truck did before. Not everyone's style, but this is my style, so I'm the one driving it. This is what I'm doing with it. Like I said, I'll post another review video in about a week, just kind of checking in on how everything's working out. It might work out better for you if you get newer tires. You know, both of these, all four corners, they're used, you know, so it's not going to ride as good as they would initially, but I'm happy with it for now. I've only driven it 5 miles though, so we'll see how it goes after a week. Thanks for tuning in. All right, everybody, so just wanted to take a moment here to do the kind of 1 week update. I actually can't remember how many miles I had on it at the start of the week, but I drive about 50 miles or so a day, so somewhere around 250, 300 miles, somewhere in that range. So it's actually at exactly the same miles per gallon as when I left off before switching over to these tires. What I would say is, you know, I don't actually think that's like perfectly accurate. You know, right before I had replaced these, I had done a little bit more city driving than I typically do. So usually at around this point in the week, somewhere in the mid 21 to 22 mile per gallon range. So going from the factory tires to the slightly larger Rebels that are a little bit more heavy, obviously, as well. Definitely impacted it a little bit. I would say somewhere in like the mile per gallon range, something in that range, maybe like 1 at most 2 miles per gallon. The other thing is not accounted for here is the speedometer is not perfectly accurate. It's not off by a ton. I think it was 3% is what it's off by. So like right now I'm going like a touch under 70. So at this speed it's off by like 1 or 2 miles an hour. I think what it equates out to is something like half a mile a gallon at 20 miles per gallon. I think maybe like 0.6 if we're being exact. So, you know, maybe this is actually 21.3 miles per gallon instead of 20.7 if it's correctly calibrated for the speedometer. So that being said, just the feel of it definitely feels like it's a little bit less efficient. I have 355 gears, so going up to this tire size, effectively it like mechanically reduces it to like 340s. So, you know, the truck still gets off the line fine, still accelerates good when you push it. All that's still true. It's obviously not as peppy as it was with a slightly lower size, but my dad actually has the same truck as mine, just with the 321 gears, and it still does a little better than that, if I'm being totally honest. So, you know, I would imagine if you had 321 gears and you put these tires on with the 6-cylinder, you'd probably not like this very much. You definitely feel it. Obviously with the Hemi, I can't imagine the Hemi would even notice a difference. You know, maybe feel mile per gallon, whatever, but, you know, obviously the Hemi's got more power than it needs. So yeah, if you're kind of watching the gauges I'm driving here, my drive home is a little bit more downhill than uphill, so kind of has a natural tendency to go up as I keep going. Overall, the Duratracs, I've never had Duratracs before. It's just a standard all-terrain tire in terms of the road noise. These ones there's no play in the steering wheel, anything like that, so that's nice. Reasonably well balanced, that kind of deal. It's got the all-terrain hum. You know, I think the passenger tires are basically silent. The mud tires, they got that buzz to them, so it's obviously not as loud as a mud tire, but you know, it is a little bit more friction, traction on the road, so it's going to create that noise. So overall, I would say I was pretty apprehensive to put these on with the 6-cylinder, being a heavier tire, being a taller tire. I think the 355 gears kind of take care of quite a bit of that. And you know, I think it's just the V6 is a pretty naturally efficient engine, so that helps quite a bit as well. So I'm pretty happy, a lot better than I expected that this would be. And to be honest, I think that's kind of been a theme for me with this truck, is like a lot better than I expected. I came from a Hemi, so going to the V6, I was like, yeah, you know, I'm going to sacrifice in some areas, but you know, so far this thing towed a car trailer with loaded car trailer completely fine. Actually got good gas mileage when I was doing it. It was like 17 miles a gallon, towing like 100 something miles. So that was way better than I expected it to be, and going up a tire size the way that it's handled it, you know, a second time around, way better than I expected it to be. So, you know, if you're on the fence, you're not sure about putting on the Rebel wheels, and you're not sure about what the drivability of the truck looks like, you know, I can honestly only speak to my truck, but with the 355 gears, I think you'll be real happy with it. You know, I don't think you'll notice a difference, and for the benefit they provide in terms of looks, you know, I'm a big fan of it, but also the benefit they provide in terms of traction. If, you know, winter weather driving, anything off of pavement, I'm sure that these would be significantly better than the factory just road tires. So I'm happy. No buyer's remorse here. I still have my old set, so if I didn't want to do these, I got this set for $400. I could easily sell them for a profit. So, but I'm not going to do that because I like them. They've been good. So great deal on them for me, but pretty good fit for the truck, honestly. And I feel like if you had 392 gears in it, you probably, honestly, might even be overkill for what this is. So I'm going to sign off here for today. If you found this helpful, you know, like I said, I was doing a lot of searches and to find a whole lot of information about what it was like switching to Rebel wheels, other than just what they look like. Someone that, you know, I want to know how it performs too. So hopefully this helps you if you're on the fence about that decision. But heck of a good looking tire, and the truck handles them just fine. So if this helps, like, subscribe to the channel. Trying to get the channel views up a little bit here. Hopefully these videos are helpful with the information, and thanks for watching.